Now let's talk about using Data Pump for fallback. You might want to use Oracle Data Pump as a fallback mechanism if you've upgraded, and especially if you had to raise compatible as part of your upgrade operation for some whatever reason. This wouldn't be a database that you could downgrade using the approach that we just discussed. But what you can do is export from the higher version using the Data Pump version parameter and specify the lower version to which you want to return. The considerations here are the time needed to do the export and the import, and the requirement to have matching time zones on the source and destination. Now, if you're falling back from 19C, for instance, to 11204, any objects and attributes that are not compatible with the lower release will be skipped. Some examples of that might be a table that has a name longer than 30 bytes because you're using long identifiers. Data Pump would not be able to export that table as is to bring it back to 11204 because Data Pump can't just truncate table names. Another, for instance, is blockchain tables. So for these examples, before starting the export, you would need to convert such tables into a compatible state. That is, renaming a table to a name that's less than 30 bytes and converting a blockchain table to a regular table by creating a copy. But again, for things that are supported in the older version, we can go back from a release 19C all the way back to 11204 if need be. Now here's an example of using the version parameter to tell Data Pump to create a dump file that's compatible with 11204. The version parameter has two other options noted here. You could say version equals compatible. Now this is the default for the version parameter, and if you do that, then the version of the metadata in the dump file will correspond to the database compatibility level set in the compatible initialization parameter. Why might you want to do this? Well, let's say you upgraded to 19C, but you left compatible at 12.2. You could set version equals compatible to create a 12.2 dump file. The other option, of course, is you can choose version equals latest to create a dump file that's consistent with the version of your database. In this case, the version of the metadata and of the SQL-DTL commands correspond to the database release regardless of its compatibility level. When you're importing into a lower release, you can't specify network mode using the parameter network link and import directly over a database link. Data Pump only supports network mode imports to the same or to a higher release. So this means that when you downgrade, you must export to a dump file and then import from a dump file. Now the scenario here is post-upgrade. That means you've done an upgrade, maybe even a PDB convert, and you set compatible to a newer version for some reason, and now you want to go back. Reading from the top to the bottom, on the right, you do an export and create a dump file that's compatible with the lower release by using the version parameter. Then, back on the original source environment, to the left, on which you'd like to fall back, you use that dump file to do an import. And if you think that you might need to fall back, it's a good idea to keep your old Oracle Home available and to create an empty database for your import. So to review, you can export from 19C with the version equals parameter and fall back as low as 11204. Data Pump will export from the 19C database into the 11204 dump file, and then you can import that dump file into your 11204 database, and everything should be good because it's really an 11204 dump file that Data Pump created.